I'm calling you out to war. I'm calling you to war. You think I went through all this years ago and I'm gonna bow down to some bitch ass nigga like you? You crazy as hell. And I'm calling you a bitch ass because I'm hoping to put some fire up under your ass.
Here's the gentleman that just heard that rant from. I just recently heard of this guy, and he has a bunch of followers, and he talks about being a secured party creditor, and that's just a bunch of nonsense. That we have seen a bit of this in some of our court room Zooms we've seen. You probably remember the guy that went on and on about he had $1 billion in his birth certificate account or something like that. That's how they supposedly become a secured party creditor. But anyway, where do they get these ideas? Well, they get these ideas from people like this gentleman right here. And I'm going to be bringing some insight into this. A lot of people cover other things. I'm going to cover this. I think you'll find it interesting because I think we're going to see more and more people in court using the arguments this guy promotes. So here's his website or his YouTube channel, High Frequency Radio. Go check it out if you want to. I will be responding to some of his videos on his channel there. So anyway, thought I'd give you the heads up. We'll go ahead and get into this. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Today I got an interesting show for you. This show is a result of a comment that was at the bottom of one of my videos, and I kind of took it as a challenge. And it seems to be like a comment from someone from the legal community. However, you know how that goes. You know, you go to their page and it's some fake page. It looks like somebody who is going at anti-sovereigns. And I'll get right to it. I'll get right to it. This is the comment right here. An individual who was claiming that I didn't know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm a layman and I don't understand this information, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, the typical, you know, thing that they say. And then basically, let's read it right quick. It says, it is clear this gentleman does not comprehend the concept of federalism under which the U.S. operates. Notice he said the U.S., not the United States of America.
Well, yeah, I'm old. I don't like to type a lot of shit.
Article 3 courts are federal courts, and Article 1 courts are limited to D.C. and federal enclaves, which is true. They're territorial courts. They're territorial courts. He doesn't seem to understand federalism, and I'm going to try to explain it to you.
Well, this doofus claims he knows what federalism is, and he goes on to explain it, but he gets all in the weeds and the treatises, no law, anything like that, and he thinks federalism means that you're governed by a big federal government. Well, that's wrong, of course. Federalism is a system of government in which the same territory is controlled by two levels of government. And here in the United States, we have two levels of government. We have the federal government, who's sovereign, and we have the states, who are sovereigns. So each of them govern their particular territory. That is federalism. That's all it is. Very simple. Why the hell did you not Google it? Congress gets their powers and sovereignty from the Constitution, and the states get theirs from the 10th Amendment. 10th Amendment is often overlooked by these pseudo-lawyers. So there you go, Mr. Pseudo-Lawyer. You got it?
Okay. State courts are established under the 10th Amendment. He also lacks knowledge of jurisdiction. He doesn't seem to know that Louisiana is the only state whose law is not based off common law. It's a Napoleonic code. Everybody knows that. You know, Louisiana was the last state to adopt the UCC. Yes, I'm very familiar with that. I don't even understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about it because you mentioned Louisiana in this video upon which I commented. That's why. Don't you even remember what your video was about?
I don't understand why you even brought up Louisiana. All right, but I understand Louisiana. It was a French, it was a French territory. But let's get into some of these discussions of what he's saying. He also went on to say, so I got into a discussion with him, and I asked him, he said he's won a case. I said, okay. He said he's won a case. All right. So I go in and I said, all right, well, all right. It appears you don't grasp what constitutes arguing cases. Yes, I do, because we don't argue cases.
You go to his Facebook page and it's loaded with people that are in court trying to use his bullshit.
That is the domain of attorneys. If you've been watching me for any appreciable amount of time, I urgently discourage any of my listeners from arguing at all.
I just told you earlier that I just discovered you, so no, I haven't looked at any of your videos.
We are about acceptance for value on this channel. I know you don't understand anything that has to do with this subject matter.
Well, that's because I didn't study pseudo-law.
You get all of your information from, the Southern Poverty Law Center or some blog on some liberal website or some Marxist communist website. You have a typical mindset that I see. So he gave me some of the case laws allegedly that I don't know if he argued them or not. He doesn't seem to claim to have argued them. He said he won the case. I'm not sure what it was, but these are gun possession cases in a school, and which I found very interesting. Let me see if I can.
Only one case. The first one deals with gun possession at school. Just to let you guys know.
When you click on, and what I always do, I always click on their picture and look at their profile. 6,000 subscribers, but so he's not making much of an impact on anything.
But you go to his and he's got like almost 70,000 subscribers, and his videos get maybe 2,000 views. My little 6,000 will sometimes generate up to 30 or 40. One is even over 100,000 views off my little bitty 6,000 subscribers. So I look at what the ratio between subscribers and views. And the most views I've seen him get, maybe 30%, maybe 40%. Mine, I get 500, 600, 700%. So just to set the record straight.
But all right, let's look and see what he gave me. He gave me these citations of authority, and okay, here's the case. It's one of the cases that he sent me. He sent me United States versus Lopez, volume 514, U.S. Reporter, page 549. D.C. versus Heller, volume 554, U.S. Report, page 570. McDonald versus City of Chicago, volume 561, U.S. Reporter, page 742. Burwell versus Hobby Lobby Stores Incorporated, volume 573, U.S. Report, page 682. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. Notice how these are all corporations?
Lopez wasn't a corporation, doofus. He was an 18-year-old. What the hell are you talking about? You get so stuck on shit that you can't see the forest for the trees. And look up there. Lopez's name is not in all caps. Wow.
Y'all seen how these are all companies that we're talking about? Are you paying attention to that? These are all corporations, man. These are all these companies that we're talking about. So let's look at the case, because he said he argued. I don't know if he argued this case, but he said he won this case. Once again, it says, let me go back to recap. And I haven't even really read this case or any of these cases. He just told me this today. Within the last 2 hours, I read his comment. I put this all together within 2 hours.
Yeah, you got triggered, didn't you? You got really triggered.
I haven't even read the cases. So I could be wrong, but let's see. Let's see if we are. All right. Right here, once again, it says, High frequency radio. It appears you don't grasp what constitutes arguing cases, typical layman mistakes, my work at the Supreme Court. And so he puts that out there. And then he says,
okay, when he pauses like this, and he'll do it a couple of times through here, he's searching and reading my comments in the live stream. That's what he's doing, in case you wanted to know.
He said, it is clear this gentleman does not comprehend the concept of federalism under which the U.S. operates. All right? Well, I understand what separation of powers is.
And that doesn't have anything to do with federalism, you doofus.
That's what I need to understand. All right, United States versus Lopez. This is the first one. This was in 1995. This is 28 years ago.
Yeah, I was a young pup back then. This was my first foray into the Supreme Court.
All right, so certiorari to the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Okay. Argued November 8, 1994, decided April 26, 1995. After responded, then a 12th grade student, that's Lopez, I would assume. Notice his name is written in all capital letters. We understand that doesn't mean anything. Of course, it doesn't mean anything. After responded, then a 12th grade student carried a concealed handgun into his high school. He was charged with violating the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990. What are we talking about? We're talking about an act. What is an act? Since we are in class, let me stop and pause and see if we can get a thorough understanding of what an act is.
And he goes on a tirade about what an act is, but let's make it very simple. An act is a legislative law. A legislative law is called statute. So an act is a law. That was real hard, wasn't it, kids?
All right, so right here, the district court denied his motion to dismiss the indictment, concluding that 922Q is a constitutional exercise of Congress's power to regulate activities in and affecting commerce. And reversing, the Court of Appeals held that in light of what it characterized as insufficient congressional findings and legislative history, subsection 922Q is invalid as beyond Congress's power under the Commerce Clause. All right, so here's what it was held. The act exceeds Congress's Commerce Clause authority.
And that was my argument. And that what he's about to read is going to be reflective and a lot of words that were in my brief. So that's what I did. So let's continue on here.
First, although this court has upheld a wide variety of congressional acts regulating interstate economic activity that substantially affected interstate commerce. Notice we're talking about intrastate commerce that substantially affected interstate commerce that allowed Congress to exercise regulatory authority over that activity. Even though it was involving interstate commerce. What is key is they saying it materially affects, it don't have to be just interstate commerce. It could be something touching on or affecting interstate commerce. If it's involving in any kind of way that it can affect interstate commerce, they are taking jurisdiction over.
And that's why I accepted the case, to work on the cases, because I hate Wickard v. Filburn, where they expanded the Commerce Clause, and I always kind of wanted to do something in my life that would rewrite to some degree that case law. So that's why I took on this case.
Over it. So it's all commercial in nature. Now they're going to.
Whoa, there! I want you to remember that. His idea, his ideology is that all court cases, criminal, murder, I guess, whatever, are commercial cases. That's what he believes. And we're going to find out that he's wrong, because the court will say this case has nothing to do with commerce whatsoever. So that totally debunks his primary position.
Great lengths, and I'm sure they're going to try to do something to make me look foolish once again.
You do that on your own, dude.
to make you appear. They don't give you no explanation of why all the words. Ask them to give you an explanation. Why y'all capitalize? Let's do something simple. Start with that. Why you capitalize everybody's name on the caption of all the pleadings of all these court cases? Why is your name capitalized on your driver's license? Why is your name capitalized on all of your utility bills? Why are all of the congressional representatives, when I see them on television and they have their nameplates in front of them, their name is in capital letters along with the judge? Why is that? I could keep going on and on and on. Start there. Give me a simple explanation.
Why all caps? Mr. Doofus wants that question answered. He has a big problem with it. Well, let me give you a little bit of information. Why they're all caps? Well, they're not magical and they're not transformative. They don't magically transform you into something that you're not. I mean, you know, when everything went over to computers, everybody started generating everything by computer instead of everybody typing it out on typewriters. So in the computer program, all of the important data, like names and different things like that, were set to be printed out in all capital letters so they would be easily recognized. And here's some of the points. Government agencies are slow to change their computer systems and or make their systems backward compatible. And the oldest systems only used one case of letters for reasons of data efficiency. That sounds reasonable. In order to ensure that different forms of the same name, example, DeFranco versus DeFranco, or Diaz versus Diaz, don't screw up the system internally and think it's two different people. To make the name stand out in order to ensure the government workers can easily identify which document goes with the right file, envelope, etc. As far as the nameplates in Congress, well, that's so people can see them from a distance and read them. Another reason, to make the letters bigger and easier to see, to make the most critical information legible to people with low levels of literacy, which might only recognize the uppercase version of letters. Because your name is an identifier, government databases use all caps to keep it in the same across all platforms. By automatically converting names to all capitals, it means that when they want to do a search by name, it will show up rather than some being all caps, some having caps at the start only, and some having no caps. And it's also used for names with splits, like McDonald, and you can see how the difference it could affect it. But not only that, the states and the courts recognize that putting your name in all capital letters is just a bunch of nonsense. It has no legal meaning in any court, as this case, State versus Cannell, shows, where this guy did the same thing. He put things in all capital letters. He cited to the UCC with a UCC1 financing statement. He talks about the name in capital letters, and his name not in capital letters is a secured party, that the all caps is an artificial person, separate and distinct from the lowercase secured party creditor. You hear that? Yusef, secured party creditor. The courts know all about that nonsense. Doesn't mean that it's a secured party creditor or a difference between a natural man, a sovereign. And he argues that the all caps is a straw man name, and he's recorded a lien against it that's superior to the lien that the corporate government has against the straw man name. Whatever the hell that means. That's kind of BS these people believe. Courts say, in this case, we note that similar sovereign citizen arguments have been raised in various federal court actions by pro se litigants, albeit unsuccessfully. That's back in 2011. Here we're going back to 2009. Regardless of an individual's claimed status of descent, he, be it as a sovereign citizen, a secured party creditor, or a flesh and blood human being, that person is not beyond the jurisdiction of the courts. You get that, doofus? There's another one from 2009. Petitioner's act of writing his name in all capital letters does not change him from a human, natural person to a legal entity, thus depriving the state court of jurisdiction. Another one from 2013, rejecting defendant's claim that the use of capital letters means that the defendant is an artificial or fictitious person. defendant's capital letter argument is unveiling and frivolous. Now we're at 2008. This court's jurisdiction remains valid whether his name is written in all capital letters or a mix of capital and lowercase letters, or whether he identifies himself as a real flesh and blood man in his private capacity or a sovereign secured party creditor. And here's another one. UCC has no bearing on criminal matter jurisdiction. And then you can also look at these cases here. These cases here also cite it. And if you notice, we got one that goes all the way back to 1996. This cat saying that he's been in it for 20 years. Well, this is almost like 30 years old. So they've been trying this nonsense for a long time. And this guy and his followers are just the newest generation that have been fooled into thinking and believing this bullshit.
Okay. So let's keep reading this. All right. Let's keep reading this. Hell, the act exceeds Congress's Commerce Clause authority. First, although this court has upheld a wide variety of congressional acts regulating intrastate economic activity that substantially affected interstate commerce, the possession of a gun in a local school zone is in no sense an economic activity that might, through repetition elsewhere, have such a substantial effect on interstate commerce.
Now remember, as he's reading this, this is almost pulled verbatim from my brief.
Makes sense to me. Okay. Section 922Q is a criminal statute that by its terms has nothing to do with commerce or any sort of economic enterprise. All right. However broadly those terms are defined, nor is it an essential part of larger regulation of economic activity in which the regulatory scheme could be undercut unless the intrastate activity were regulated. It cannot therefore be sustained under the court's cases holding regulations of activities that arise out of or are connected with commercial transaction, which viewed in the aggregate substantially affects interstate commerce. So let's keep going. To uphold the government's contention that I'm gonna read right here. To uphold the government's contention that subsection 922Q is justified because firearm possession in a local school zone does indeed substantially affect interstate commerce. So
now, doesn't all that sound like I'm a big communist, a big left-winger?
Just possession of a firearm in some kind of way substantially affects interstate commerce, which would require this court to pile inference upon inference in a matter that would bid fair to convert Congressional Commerce Clause. This is the same thing I'm talking about. How is the government getting jurisdiction? That's the first thing I'm looking at in any criminal case. The activity that you engage in, that you got an indictment on, how did the government get jurisdiction, and where is the jurisdictional element announced in the indictment? Let's see where we at.
Well, my subscribers and regular listeners know what's on the indictment that establishes a prima facie case of jurisdiction. And that is going to be where it happened, when it happened, who was there that was seen doing the act, so, and the statute. All of those things are jurisdictional elements that establish jurisdiction. Again, he's reading my comments.
Wait till you see my response. I'm going to be waiting for it. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to go back and forth. I'm going to be waiting for your response because you don't come on my page and tell me something. I've been doing this a long time too.
Get tough on me now. Get tough on me.
I've been doing this for a very long time, and I'll match my intelligence with yours any day. And as a matter of fact, if you'd like to have a public debate about this, we can get down. I'll make you famous. You only got 6,000 followers.
But I got more views than you do on a percentage basis.
You ain't making shit. You ain't getting monetized over there.
I don't need the money, dude. Trust me, I don't need the money.
So why are you putting so much energy into it?
Because I can't stand people who sell misinformation for profit. How's that?
So anytime you want to get down, bruh, we can get down with it. Because right now, I'm only giving you just a little bit. I'm doing a cursory overview of all of this. But you don't scare me. None of y'all do. Because you know why? Because I got the truth. I'm following the 48 laws of power. I'm intentionally trying to make an enemy. I'm calling you out to war. I'm calling you to war. You think I went through all this years ago and I'm gonna bow down to some bitch ass nigga like you? You crazy as hell. And I'm calling you a bitch ass because I'm hoping to put some fire up under your ass.
Bring it, bitch.
Wipe all that shit off your channel and just put my shit on there and let's go.
Wipe off your channel with all the bullshit misinformation. How's that?
You ain't getting no views any fucking way. Talking about what he's seen so far is easy to debunk. Bullshit. Make sure you start with principles. This is his profile, everybody. This is the guy that is commenting right now and calls himself John Galt. I guess you read Atlas Shrugged. You know, Atlas Shrugged. Atlas had the world on his back and he shrugged to get it off his back. Are you, you know, Ayn Rand, that was kind of like an anti-liberal type of treatise that she wrote.
Duh. So that means I'm not a liberal. Duh.
Wrote under, you know, Atlas Shrugged. I read the whole thing, all 1,000 and how many other pages of it. It was very good reading. Very good reading. Atlas Shrugged, you know, she got, Randism, Ayn Rand, Randism, or whatever it is.
It's objectivism, doofus.
You know, she have a philosophy. And Mike Wallace has an interview with her on YouTube. Everybody should watch that interview with Ayn Rand. This is her right here.
Go and watch the ones where she was on the Phil Donahue show. Much better.
Ayn Rand.
And I'm letting this go because, of course, Ayn Rand was a mentor of mine.
Ayn Rand and Mike Wallace. So you see he calls himself, what he calls himself, John Galt. John Galt.
Here's an easy thing you can do
in her novel Atlas Shrugged.
Add to your routine
who is John
so
Galt?
that you age better, or
so
maybe
those of y'all, this is something that you should really watch. This interview between. This is a very intelligent lady. She is Jewish, by the way. She's Jewish as well, and she is very intelligent. And I enjoy listening to her speak. Definitely. You know, I'm giving you that props. But Ayn Rand also demonstrates those same characteristics, in my opinion. So, you know, definitely this is a woman. You should take the time to listen. Where am I at? I'm getting all sidetracked.
He's trying to find and read my comments again.
Okay, so, well, you should be. She's one of your mentors. You should see the extent of my reading as well. You know, I read The Fountainhead as well, and so you know, I have respect for this woman. Shalom alaikum, Ilahem. You're not a. You follow up philosophy and base your legal career on it, then you should be you should be in favor of the republic then.
And I am. That's why I chose the course of law, constitutional law. So I'm not some left-wing, communist or whatever that he was talking about, because he's an emotional person. He started attacking me personally instead of my arguments, which of course we all know is an indication of weak arguments. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I cut this stuff down from like over 3 hours. I just edited out the salient points that I wanted to address. You can go to his website and you can watch the whole video when you have 3.5 hours to spend. You'll probably get bored like I did. But anyway, I thank y'all for coming in. I hope you will enjoy the future because I'm going to try to bring some stuff that a lot of people don't cover. So once again, thanks for dropping by. I wish you would subscribe, hit the like button, and please comment because I love your comments. So until next time, who is Juan Galt?
And